Hey, here's Dan Larson. Welcome to the newest feedback session. Let's move forward with Justin Fish Jackson's song, and this is the Never Change, etc. So let's listen to it.
This is Jackson.
Okay, nice beat, man. So what I want to talk about here is hip-hop is not really my style. I made a hip-hop pack like, I don't know, a few months ago to Loop Masters. And what I experienced is the kick drum is very important here because, you know, you are using, like every hip-hop beat today, like trappy kind of stuff uses very heavy subs. And if you use very heavy subs, you really need to use a kick drum which can cut through the mix, and you need to differ the kick drum from the sub. And the thing here is I cannot do that because somehow I just cannot decide where the kick drum is and where the sub itself. So I think the kick drum here is, well, for my taste, it's a little too light. So okay, I can see and hear that this is a kick drum here, but overall in the mix it is just, well, for me it is not obvious. I don't know, I would really just, I think, yeah, my latest production tutorial, EDM production tutorial, was about to fatten up your drums. I think I would really suggest to do that, I mean, especially on the kicks. The snare is fine, I think it's on point. But the kick drum is somehow, it is, it just doesn't cut through the mix. You can't decide where the kick drum hits and where the sub plays. Now, regarding to the sub, I think it sounds pretty good. I mean, it's very in the style, it's on point. But I would like to hear, maybe it's just a personal thing, but I would like to hear some more growliness to that sub because it's just, well, for me it is just too smooth. But I can see that in the style, it just works fine. Maybe I would try to add some FM to that sub. So what I do with subs, let me show it to you. I use an operator. Well, for most of the cases, I use a simple sine, and I just add a twist or pinch of FM using another sine. And then I start to like shape it using a hard shaper and use analog filter emulation and boost out the drive. And then I add some filtering, like really basic stuff, an overdrive, EQ, etc. So this is my process for 808s. And this thing here, this little FM, is really nice because, it makes the sound, it turns the sound from a very siny sound to a little more growly kind of sound. You don't need too much here, just a pinch really. So I would definitely try that on the sub. My other well, problem. Sorry, I know it is. You don't want to and don't like to hear it that there are problems with your song, because, as I said, it's nice. It's a nice little beat, and for light and atmospheric kind of beat, I think it works well. So it is really great. But for me, in this section, when overall in the full song, this little lead, what you're using here is a little, well, it's too simple. I mean, maybe it is a silent preset or something, or maybe a serum preset, I don't know, but it's just too light. And of course, if you use a vocal, you don't need to go too hard, and you don't want to have too much presence in the mix with the leads, because you know the vocal needs to take the lead. But I don't know, for me just too weak, or at least I would try to add a reverb, or maybe some more compression or some distortion or something, you know, to add some more harmonies to that lead, because it is just too simple and too artificial for me. I don't hear, to be honest, well, real sound design behind it, and it's not always necessary, but for me it's just, I don't know, too simple. I cannot express myself better. It's just too simple for me.
This Jackson.
It's a nice little vocal stuff here. Maybe I would try to add serum reverb filter or something that always makes some nice tone and nice modern sound to this preset, to this lead. You know, I would really just start experimenting with that. So once again, it's a nice beat. I know it's a kind of lighter style, and I bet you didn't want to go too hard with that. But these are my suggestions, and overall I think it's a nice beat. I would really love to hear it with a vocal. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So this was Justin Jackson, and Ray McKay is the next one. So let me arm this recording and let's start playing that.
Like the way you look at me.
Awesome, very nice liquid drum and bass. I really love liquid stuff. Okay, so let's start with the beginning. For me, this section, the intro part, is a little too quiet. But it's again, I think it's just a personal thing, and this is cool that you use some heavier and louder. Well, this is not a drop, but you know, a little louder section for the harder parts, or at least I don't know how to call it, because I didn't hear any proper drop. I mean, the song itself is proper, but you know, we don't have this intro, build up and drop section, which I really love, because you know, I'm pretty sick of this. So like, everybody uses this shim on their songs, so our songs are not saturated at all. Like, everybody goes to intro, build up, like rolling drums and pre-drop vocals go into the drop, etc. It's just pretty boring. I'm 36 and I grew up in the 80s, 90s, and in those days songs were not saturated like this. I mean, they were a lot more colorful and didn't have all these shims on the song structures and arrangements. But never mind, getting back to your song, I think it's pretty nice. I really enjoy listening to it. Although the hi-hats are very loud, man. I think it's just not on point. I mean, they are just washing and make the full mix sound too muddy and washes out everything. I think it's too loud, or maybe you should EQ out the, I don't know, let's try to do that on the mix. I know it will sound stupid, but maybe we can find a proper EQ, I mean frequency area, or frequency range, sorry, at around 4 or 5K. I would really EQ those hi-hats. Yeah, I think around 4.2 K hertz. I think I would definitely make some cuts, or at least some, you know, decrease the energy on this section, on this area, because those hi-hats just, you know, take too much lead. But I would definitely pull them back. And I assume you use a limiter on the master, because as I can hear, let me see your transients. I don't see any transient here. I think you're using a limiter on the master, and this is not always a good idea if you don't use any saturation, because you know, it kills transients, because I can hear drums are very washed out. I mean, yeah, we don't want too sharp transients here, because we are talking about liquid acoustic kind of stuff. But somehow it is a little, I don't know, the mix, or at least the master on the master channel is a little too soft. I mean, I would definitely try to add some more saturation to keep those transients, you know, to cut through the mix a little better with the hi-hats pulled back. My second problem here, that lead, or that pad in the background, I would cut a little, but only on the background pad at around 200-300 hertz. I think it's a little too much there, but maybe it is again a personal thing. By the way, very nice stuff. I really enjoyed listening to it. Maybe I would do a little more on the reverbs, you know, like adding a little more reverb here and there, make those little glitches, the vocal stuff a little more atmospheric, like, you know, liquid drum and bass, and all the liquid stuff, all the atmospheric stuff uses lots of reverb. I think it would be a little better using a little more reverb here and there. Not always and not everywhere, but you know, it's at some dedicated places. And of course, I would definitely teach you, sorry to say that, how to, you know, using master or master your songs. It's a little about the mixing too, but overall, I think your ideas and your stuff you put into your songs are cool, but you know, the mix down is a little too muddy, so I would definitely try to tweak on the mix a little to make it a little sharper. But overall, as I said, I really enjoyed listening to it. Nice job. So let's go to the next guy, David Woods. Let's listen to your stuff too. Okay, so first of all, sorry to skip through your song, but it is 10 minutes, man. And it is like 23:25 here, so it is almost midnight and I'm pretty tired and sleepy. So first of all, this is an ambient song and I really love ambient, but what you did here is you used 3 chords during the full 10-minute song, and you didn't have any changes. I heard, sorry if there was, but I didn't hear because I skipped them through. I skipped the full, song through. But as I heard, you didn't use any breakdown or any, you know, harmonic changes or something. You have that basic pad with the cello stuff, or maybe as I heard something acoustic under that pad. And you added some leads or piano notes here and there, some vocal cuts. But man, this is 10 minutes. So, okay. So when I was about 15 years old, maybe, I loved listening to, come on, where are you, Spotify? Let me open Spotify and just show me what I mean. Okay. There you are. And there was this guy who was called Robert Miles. That is an awesome producer. He's an awesome producer, sorry. But unfortunately he died like last year. And the second album he made, this 23 AM. So this is a very nice album. It contains lots of stuff, but the full album is like full ambient, and there are a few dance hits here and there. But the full album is constructed and arranged well, pretty well. It contains lots of ambient stuff. I highly recommend you to study it, because what he does is he introduces a few chords with lots of effects added, like children cries in the background, like going trains from your left right to the right side of your ears, and lots of different stuff. It is filled with stuff, filled with effects. It has lots of movement and very interesting. What you did here is you made a 10-minute song with basically 3 or maximum 4 sounds. It was very boring, sorry to say that. I mean, you are cool and that song can be really great if you just put more stuff into it. Otherwise, listening would give up listening to your song after the first minute, I bet. So let me show some stuff from Robert Miles. Okay, so this song has arrangement. He introduces a very simple lead, and he adds his pad, he adds his strings, he adds more strings, he adds different effects like talking, he changes the full arrangement and the full sounds at the middle of the song and changes into another pad. You know, it stops the full stuff and just adds some vocals, some whisperings in the background. So that song is only 3 minutes, but lots of stuff. There are lots of stuff into it, you know, there are work in it and lots of other ideas what he uses during only one song, and this makes the full album and that is exact song what I just showed you very interesting, you know, and it contains lots of movement. Ambient is not about having one pad, because that would be very boring. So I would definitely recommend you to follow these steps and just go on and listen to the full album from that guy. He's a genius, really. He was, so unfortunately, a genius. But overall, I think so this is a cool idea what you use here, but you need lots of stuff into it. So let's move on to the next dude. Like he was David Woods, Forest of Solace. It's a nice little thing that you have in your woods in your name and you use a forest. Anyway, so let's go to Iverson Lewis. Maybe I pronounce your name well. Okay, what can I say here? It's perfect, man. I really loved it. It's so sad and so beautiful. This is perfect for rainy days for the broken heart, which fortunately I don't have. I'm a pretty bright and, uplifted guy. But this was just beautiful, man. I can't say anything to it. It's perfect. It's really perfect. I won't go into like mastering and mixing, and you should use a band bass filter here and there to make it brighter and make low and stronger and just to clean up the middle area like bullshit. No, it's perfect. Really, it's awesome. Okay, this really made my day. Awesome job, Iverson. Sorry if I don't pronounce your name well, but this was really a perfect song. It's awesome. Sometimes when I listen to this kind of song, I feel I should stop producing because I'm just nowhere close to this, or I'm just maybe different. I don't know, but it's just really a pro song. So Paco, let's check your song. Okay, sorry again to skip through your song. Oops, let's stop the recording. Okay, so the main problem here is, I think, with the arrangement. So, I mean, it's a cool song, so I don't want to say it's not, or you should stop producing or something. I would never say this to anybody, because I never know how long you have been producing, and what experience you have, etc., and what gear you have. Because I mean, you don't need gear, but you definitely need some pair of headphones, or at least something close to that. Never mind. The better speaker you have, the better stuff you can produce, basically. So it is very important. So I don't know what you have and what you don't have, but this is not important in this case. What I want to talk about is, I mean, so the problem here is with the arrangement, because you have one pad going through the song, going through the full song, and you have like 2 or 3 basses, what you change like very repeatedly and very expeditiously. I mean, you can really know what will happen and how you will use them. So if you listen to, for example, Neuro drum and bass, I know this is not Neuro, but listen to Neuro drum and bass. They use these complex bass sequences very smartly and very cleverly, because you really need some interest into these songs. For example, let me just go to the drop. Yeah, ba 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 ba. So you have 2 basses going after each other, and it is very, you know, just I think it's not the way you don't use it as it should be, because you really need to use a different arrangement, or just a little more sounds, or just tweak it up something, you know, to make it a little more interesting. And in the second part of the drop, you introduce one more bass, which is very similar to the basses we heard in the first drop, I mean the first part of the first section of the drop, but you really don't do anything to it, like using some notes to make a melody out of them, and this is all, and that's all, because I think you definitely want to, you know, do something with it. Just add the layer, or use a different kind of melody with a different lead to make the sound a little more interesting, and not very you know, you just, you know what will happen in the next few minutes of the song, and this is, I think it is not good. You want to break these leads and the full sequence of your song with like little tiny things, like, I don't know, like glitches maybe, or just try to add the vocal cut here and there. But this is very like you use blocks and just put them after each other. At least this is what I hear. Maybe I am wrong, but this is what I hear. So the arrangement is not exciting for me, and I just told you why. The second problem is like with the drums, because the kick you use here is very sharp at the transient, but the snare is very dull. So as you can see, you have a very sharp transient on the kick, but on the snare it's just not a sharp transient, and I think it's not a good choice, because you really want to match your kick and the snare, because somehow the listener will hear that you know, you put your groove together by your own, which is an awesome thing, and this is how it, I mean, all the songs should build up, but this is not a good choice for your kick or for your snare, because they don't match together. So try to add or what do you know what I like to do is when I run into this problem that I don't feel the kick and the snare match together and go together, I simply take the transient part for the kick and just copy it and give it to the snare, something like this, or somehow like this. And let's see what we get if we do this on a few instances of the snare. I hope I don't mess up and I find the snare properly. Okay, I don't know where is the next snare, but let's put it here and let's see how we made the sound a little more, I don't know, colorful or maybe sharper, because the kick itself is sharp, but the snare is just very dull. So this is what we get now. Yeah, it's a lot better, man. It's a lot better. I bet you hear the difference. You know, the kick has a very sharp transient which cuts through the mix pretty well. To be honest, I'm not a fan of using this kind of transients, which is, you know, differs a lot from the mix of the other parts of the mix. But okay, this is a common way to, you know, just use drums which cut through the mix. But anyway, if you do this, just make sure you match the transient of the kick and the snare, because it is important if you want to have a unified groove or something. So this is my first problem with the drums. Well, the drums is I think this was the only problem, because I'm still not the fan of these samples what you chose here, but the shuffle is, I think it's cool. I don't hear too much subs or too much basses here, because I can see that they are here, but it is just, I don't know, just too weak for me. Try to make them a little stronger. I don't know how. Try to use some lower notes on the sub, or use a separate sub. I think you are using the same bass, or I mean the bass itself contains a sub. I'm not sure, but maybe this is the case here. I would definitely try to add you know, a separate sub from, like, not a simple sine wave, that is not a good choice, but try to follow the process of a neuro bass and just, you know, filter it at around, I don't know, 150 hertz and use that as a sub. Or just take a neuro sound, a very long sustained neuro bass, and just filter it and use that as a sub. And I think that would make it. And I think this is all here. The arrangement, the sounds, well, the sounds can be okay, but I would definitely use something more which would take the lead of the song, because those basses are, those are not lead basses. Those are not strong enough to take the lead and just go through with the full song. I think this is my opinion on your song, but overall it's a nice little groove. So let's go to the next dude. Ariadna Peña, maybe I pronounce your name well. Thanks, man, for submitting this song. I loved it. Oops. So I really enjoy this, because at least It is not some electronic kind of stuff, but a very different stuff, and I really enjoyed listening to it. You should do something with the stereo image of your song. I mean, the guitars are just two in the middle, so try to, I don't know, like add the, let me show it to you. So what I would do here is add the simple delay only on the guitar group or only on the one track what you use. You just want to expand and, you know, just go to time. You don't want to go to synchronize. Pull back the first one to 1 millisecond, so you don't want to delay, like, I don't know, this is the left. Yeah, this is the left, so leave the left as it is, so 1 millisecond delay. But on the right, just go to about 10 or 15 milliseconds, somewhere between 10 and 50, but push up the drive knob to make it 100. So what you get here is you take the right channel of the song and just push it a little, you know, forward maybe. No, you delay it. Anyway, so you make some difference between the right and the left channel, and this will create some very nice stereo wide effect. Or if you want, of course, you can anytime drop a serum FX like this and just add the hyper dimension, but you don't want the hyper, only the dimension. And I just always pull back the size because it is not important to have a bigger size amount. And this will make some very nice stereo effect on your song or on your instrument. But for guitars, I would definitely try this method first, so with the delay. Otherwise, I think there is a little too much middles on the drums and maybe on the vocals too, especially when in this section somewhere where the little dude comes in. Maybe it is a girl, but yes, this little guy or this little girl. I don't know, that little guy is a little too loud for me, and maybe you should do some EQing with it, like cutting a little on the middles. Plus, I would compress a little more on the drums with some higher attack time, you know, to make them a little sharper. The glue compressor is an awesome tool for that, like adding attack. Maybe I think it would be good. Pull back the relays. I always push up the ratio and just try to play around with the threshold and see I'm satisfied with the result. And if I still find it a little too much, I play around with the drive knob. So the glue compressor is an awesome tool to bring some more life into your drums or into your full master or on your track or group. So I would definitely try that on the drums. The vocals are fine, I think, but the guitars needs a little more stereo image widener stuff, like with the simple delay. And overall, the full song was very good. I really enjoyed that. I really mean when I say thank you for submitting this. This really refreshed my night, because it is almost midnight. So again, very nice stuff. Thanks. Okay, the next dude is Leon Dilu. Hey, where is the song? Oh, it's a YouTube link. Okay, let's go and check the song.
Metisse, le beat est métissé. Metisse, frangine pas trop avant de danser. Metisse, le beat est métissé. Metisse, mon frère demande pas trop avant de danser.
Ey, 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 Mann, ich chill mit Chuck auf dem Balkon, gib mir ein Blatt. Keine Zeit, Mann, es geht ratzfatz. Komm doch mal her, wir machen dich platt. Deutsch, Französisch, bin der König, brauch keine Übung, hab's nicht nötig. Schreibe die Parts einfach aus meinem Kopf raus. Ja, der Mischling holt sich die Brötchen, ey. Denn es schwarz auf weiß, Mensch ist Mensch, wir sind alle gleich. Unser Ziel ist der große Preis. Wir schreiben und schreiben, ihr findet das nice, ey.
Ihr findet das nice, Schwarze sind die, wenn man labert, kein Scheiß. Jeder kann es scharf, wenn er auch will, ey. Guck mal, der lebende Beweis.
Oh, tchakalaka boum boum, tchakalaka bim bim. J'ai le front bim bim, comment t'es with me. Y'a pas de frontières ni de couleur de peau, ma chérie, demande pas trop bébé, que mon dingo. chauffe, vider. Danser, danser, maintenant jouer, vider. Maintenant taper, vider, maintenant sauver, vider.
Le beat est métissé.
Le beat est métissé. Oh là, oh là, on fait la fête ce soir. Les meufs sont bien habillées. Oh là, on danse jusqu'au matin. Pas de frontières ni de couleur de peau. Oh là, on fait la fête ce soir. Les meufs sont bien habillées. Oh là, on danse jusqu'au matin. Pas de frontières ni de couleur de peau. Métissé, le beat est métissé. Métissé, franchement pas trop avant de danser. Quoi, métissé, le beat est métissé. Métissé, mon frère ne pas trop avant de danser. Quoi, métissé, le beat est métissé. Métissé, mon frère ne pas trop avant de danser. Quoi, métissé, le beat est métissé. Métissé, mon frère ne pas trop avant de danser. Quoi.
Okay, very nice stuff. I really enjoyed this video. At least someone made some proper videos for the song. And this is a very good choice, I think. Oh, where were you, Leon? Okay, let me see your face. Who are you? Because I'm really interested to see the faces of the guys I'm talking to. Okay, there you are. Sure, I think you were not in the video. But this is okay, you were the producer. I bet. Okay, so, oops, what have I done? Okay, let's go back to the song. I'm not a big fan of the main lead here, which is, I think, a personal thing only again. At this section, I would just change something with the lead. I don't know, like boost vocal, I mean lift vocal, or just add another layer or something, you know, to make it a little more interesting, because it goes throughout the song. I know it is hip hop, and this is how beats build up. It's okay. It's okay. But for me, it's just, you know, I would love to hear a little more color in the song. This lead is. I don't want to say it is too simple for me. This is true, but this is only personal. Anyway, I would have loved to hear something different, or just something, you know, do with it, with that lead. But overall, I think this is a nice production. I love the guys. Their voices were processed, I think, pretty well, and the drums were okay. Again, not my favorite personal thing to, you know, mix electronic kicks with acoustic snares. I'm just not a fan of that. But this is personal, but it was fine. It was pretty fine. The only thing what I would mention here, as I said before, with the lead, the main lead. And there was a section in the middle somewhere. Yeah, this section, which I found a little too empty for me, because it is, I mean, it's a cool thing, it's if it were a little shorter, but it was too long to, you know, leave the same thing like with the chords and the bass played only. I would definitely introduce some new songs, or even a very subtle pad in the background, or some effects, or I don't know, something like vocal chops. I think it's a little, well, for me it's a little too empty. I would definitely try to add something to it, but as I said, only to this section. Yeah, I'm right if I say that this section is a little too empty. So I think if I were you, I would try to take this wah wah, I don't know what you say. Ha, okay, it was not you who said this, but this wah, and just use a huge reverb on it and play around with that. Let me try to do that. Okay, I think this will work. Maybe I'm not right, and maybe this will not be your taste. And what I love here is the Max for Live reverb, you know, the convolution reverb. Let's try that. I hope it will work. Oh, cool, okay. And let's use it really long. And maybe some delays, but a filter delay can make really interesting result. Where are you? Filter delay, like before the reverb, and let's choose a preset. I don't know what I'm doing now, just, you know, experimenting, like pulling back the volume on them and try to and compress it. I like to use a multi-band compression plugin. And let's see what we get if we use this. But let's try to make it a little longer and maybe more feedback on the delay, the filter delay, and I think we need a little more dry signal. And let's try to add one thing, but just reverse it. And maybe what I love to do is add warping markers. Yeah, like here. Hey, come on, do what I want to do. And here, and just strengthen it out. Like, you know, some creative kind of stuff. Something like this. But maybe it can be a personal thing. I just, you know, missed this kind of little interesting, which keeps my interest and keeps my focus on your song. But overall, I really enjoyed listening to it. I love the guys dancing and rapping in the background. And what is the software which makes this vocal, this interesting vocal? The auto-tune, yeah, auto-tune vocals and drop or refrain. I think it was on point. So this was a great song. I really enjoyed that. Thanks for submitting it. And let's go to the next dude. So you were Leon, and Darshan is the next dude. Come on, Soundcloud.
to be free of this pain. I want to forget, I don't want to regret. I gotta do what's right for me.
Okay, nice stuff again, but there are some problems, especially with the main lead and the arpeggiators. You know, the synths what you're using here are just too basic. This arpeggiator in the background, like if it was a simple saw with some high resonance filter kind of stuff going on it. I hear the filtered saw bass is a little too off for me. Maybe I just find it a little too loud. I don't know, I'm not sure, but yeah, maybe it's a little too loud. Try to EQ the middle bass area like at around 200-300 Hertz. The main lead, this very high pitched synth is again very basic, and I feel it a little too silly. I mean, it just sounds like a computer game or something. I can't take this song seriously with these sounds, with these presets, or with these synths in it. These are too basic. The vocal can be great, but I think not in this musical surrounding, especially in the drop, because you know, the dude doesn't let her voice go out really, so it is not powerful. The guy sings only on the, like, you know, too low all the way. I mean, all through the song, and especially in the drop, it is not a good choice, because you want to like increase the tension of your song with the vocals too, but looks like the dude wants to just sing on the same note and on the same octave. Just try to listen to other songs with progressive house vocally kind of songs where the singer really moves along with the song. So in the musical intro or in the breakdown, it songs on a lower note, but in the drop he really extends his voice, and it is very important because you really want to go with the song and with the arrangement. But here when you go to the drop, this sawy kind of thing, basically the vocal doesn't change, and the musical surrounding, the instruments just, you know, swallow the vocal. And this can be, you know, fixed if the dude were singing on a, you know, like a higher octave, just jump one octave or just go up like 7 voices, 7 notes up, I don't know. I think that would make it, but overall I really like the vocals, but this should be fixed, I believe. And there is another problem here, what I heard. Oh yeah, the main saws are weak again, so try to layer it up with you know, I think I don't hear too much. So how I build up my saws is the following. I try to use an instrument track, and the tools I use differ really, but if you have Serum, just use that. The first thing should be like a very heavily detuned saw, which should sound something like this. Or, you know, on a high note. Like this. And I like to add another. So duplicate it. And this time try to use a clean saw, which should sound something like this. So this should go in the middle, and all together, so you have a very wide kind of saw and something in the middle. Let me show it to you without the second layer. A lot brighter. And the third layer should be, what I like to do is again add some detunes, but I mean add some voices on the unison, but don't detune them that hard. Yeah, and what I like to do is add some very heavy LD4, like not using the BPM thing. Okay, but not this drastic, like at around 3. And try to use it on a very high note. Oh, but it is still again very, very high and too much. So let me try to fix that. Yeah, something like that. If you want, you can use some filtering, like, I don't know, in the miscellaneous I like to use the all passes. Something like that. And with some huge reverb, it can sound pretty well. In huge, I just meant volume and not the length of the reverb. And maybe some high cut and low cut can make it sound better. Okay, and from this point you can start experimenting with OTTs. I think dropping an OTT on the full group won't help. Yeah, it's just too stupid. So I would like to drop one on the first instance, but not on full amount. Yeah, on the second, it definitely needs some OTT too. Okay, and I think we don't need OTT on the third. And from this point, if you want, you can add grand piano, like grand piano, but this again needs some compression. But thankfully we have a tone, we have a glue and a hardness and a bright note, which I like to push up really hard. But this is again needs some OTTs because it sounds too in the middle. So like something like this. Oops, but we don't need this much release and the reverb is not important here. And what I like to add to the grand piano is some EQ, because we need to cut the very lows and add back some middles, something like that. And you can play around with the amount if you find it too compressed. But we need some gain pulled back. Okay, so all together they sound something like this. Oops, this serum is too loud and we definitely want to make it 1 octave higher, or maybe 2, we will see. It's still a little too much on the detuning. Anyway, so something like this would work to make your sound a little stronger. This detune saw is too stupid here. But you get the idea. So this is how I stack my sounds. And of course you can use different, for example, I love to use WOW 2 on these saws, or even WOW 1 if you have it. Or if you don't have, you can go just with crazy EQing on EQ8 with some distortion. Like we have some presets here in the formant folder, like dropping it 1 and you know, adding back the very highs, not using the low pass filter, and the same here with not using a high pass filter, but only these dots, you know, and with some overdrive or saturation or something, just go creative with that. But the WOW 2 filter is a good choice to fatten up your sounds. So, okay, this was my ideas about your song. And let's go to the next one. Darshan, that was a Darshan. Hope to get some constructive feed, man. Okay, you just got it. So let's go to Sebastian. Okay. The arpeggiator, what you use here, I think it should be replaced in the, where, I don't know, somewhere in the song, because it just goes very repetitive. So I would definitely try to, you know, somehow push it back a little somewhere in the, I don't know, like 16, after 16 bars or 32 bars, I don't know, you know, just to make something with it. It is a little similar what you did here, what I did in my Wave Shock song. Let me just show it to you. Buxom Wave Shock. So I use, let me stop it first. So I use hard arpeggiator too, but in the arrangement, I just you know, try to not overuse it. So I know it is not the same style, because your song is a little harder in style. But you know, it's just not, you don't want to overuse your arpeggiator, because every dubstep song contains an arpeggiator to make the very slow half-time rhythm a little more movement to it. And this is a common stuff, but I would definitely recommend you to replace it with something, or somehow just push it in the background and introduce more sounds which would not make the arpeggiator that obviously sounding in the song, like from the start to the beginning. This was the first complaint here. The second complaint is with the drums. They are just too dull. Try to use little more, you know, like sharper kind of songs. This is dubstep, man. You really need to use hard drums, okay? And I think you don't use them well, because I'm not sure, but if you use a limiter on the master, as I said in one of the previous songs, it will just kill the transient. And if you don't process your drum group or your drum instrument or your drum loop well, it will just, you know, lose power. So check my previous EDM production tutorial. It is still very fresh, because I uploaded it on this Wednesday or Thursday, I don't remember. Try to apply it on your drums too, okay? But that is about trap drums. I will talk about dubstep drums too later. But anyway, these drums are too shallow and too muddy. They are not. Maybe the mixing stage is really problematic around the drums, but it's just not okay. Now in the drop, don't be afraid to bring some fatness to your basses, because as I can hear you use serum, and those sounds are a little too weak, so try to add some saturation, because, you know, in the saturator plugin there is a preset what everybody uses, a bit warmer. It just really makes your sound a little fatter with some compression. So don't be afraid of that. Try to use that if you find your serum sounds a little too weak. I saw Virtual Riot, I think, yeah, that was Virtual Riot, who used a rack in his songs and in his sounds, which is called a fat track maybe, and it contained some, like, a number of saturators, a number of distortions and compressors after each other. Like, it had the Camel Crusher, the Trash, and etc. Just, you know, just very slight amount on the drive at knobs, like, I don't know, like 20% maybe, but a lot of stuff after each other, and you just drop it onto the sound after serum, and it turned the sound into a very hard, very fat kind of bass, because serum in most of the cases really needs that, as I experienced. So try to do that in your songs. And the second, try to match your sounds. For example, you have that screechy kind of tone in the drop. Yeah, this section, this way very screechy. Yeah, this cat meow song or sound or something. This is very different in tone and in color than the previous sounds. So these are very, I would not say they are dull, but this sound doesn't contain very much highs and not that harsh highs. But this sound contains mainly only that very sharp highs, so try to match them. These are very too distractive and they are too far from each other. You really need to match your sounds. This should be fattened up a little more. Like, I would definitely try to tweak around with the saturator and with the trash, with some compression. Definitely it would definitely make your sound a lot fatter. So this was all for this song, but so overall I think it's fine. Maybe this feel what you use here with this melody, or something, it's just too repetitive for me. Yeah, this dude here. Try to use something different, like try to make something new and just replace this with one of that. So try to make the sound and this feel a little more colorful, not very repetitive. Okay, so I hope I was able to help you. And let's check the last song. This dude here, Rawbleed-I.
Y ahora te vas sin decirme chau. Ya veo que hay otro en tu vida de ahora en más. Y ahora te vas sin decirme chau. Ya veo que hay otro en tu vida de ahora en más. Y ahora entiendo todo. Y ahora entiendo todo. You say you have time to say me goodbye, because I'm seeing you have another boy in your life. You say you don't have time to say me goodbye, because I'm seeing you have another love in your life. And now I understand everything. And now I understand everything. And you say you don't have time to say me goodbye, because I'm seeing you have another boy in your life. You say you don't have time to say me goodbye, because I'm seeing you have another love in your life. And now I understand everything. And now I understand everything. And
Okay, I think I can say that I enjoy this, especially the hard transition between the intro part or the vocally part with the drop. Sorry, so that was really surprised me, but it was a good surprise because I enjoyed it. How cool is this? Oops, we don't need this effect. Sorry.
everything I know.
I think with the drop, I would not say anything, but with the snare, I think the kick is cool, but with the snare, it's, you know, it just doesn't match well because the kick is on point. I mean, it processed well, or you use the better kick, you know, to make your style in the trappy kind of genre. But anyway, the snare is a little too weak compared to that.
Because I'm saying yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely want to add some more process to the snare to make it a little, well, harder, because as you can see and as you can hear, this kick has some wonderful harmonics. It is saturated pretty heavily, so let's do that on your snare too, and let's see what we get if we do this on the using the glue compressor. So let's drop it there, and of course let's fade it. And I like to use huge attack time, short release time. Let's push out the ratio, push back the threshold, add some gain, and the soft clip can make some pretty nice result. Oops.
Because I'm saying yeah, I'm not the boy in your life. Because I'm saying yeah, I'm not the boy in your life.
Yeah, I think sounds a little better, a little harder, and maybe with some EQing on the center frequency of that. Okay, let's EQ the very lows. I don't know if, again, I don't know if it's a personal thing, but I think it's definitely true that you need to match your snares with the kicks, because in this case I don't hear that. Even if I pull this back in volume. Yeah, I think it sounds better because it is, you know, matched better with the snare. I mean with the kick. The snare is matched better with the kick. This is the first thing. Well, in the vocally part, this vocal is fine. You know, when I first heard this section, I was like, okay, man, what a boring vocal. I hope this will not go till the end of the song. But the drop made the full vocal and the full, I mean, this instrumental part or vocally part, you know, it made a sense, because it's so cool that you made this very shallow and you know, dark, acidic kind of vocal with that very hard drop. So it definitely made a sense when we got to the drop. So I pretty like, I mean, the whole arrangement and the idea what you put into this song, I really enjoy that. Although the vocal could make a little more. I don't know, I would really play it with that vocal a little more with an EQ, like adding a little more highs or just maybe some effects with what I miss here, some reverb or something, but it's just a little too shallow for me. But maybe again, this is a personal thing, but because I understand what you wanted to achieve here, but and you achieved it well, so the whole thing works. Somehow I still find and still miss something here in the intro part. Maybe that is the reverb. So try to do that. But as I said before, I think this works as a full production, so I really enjoy that, especially with the very hard drop. It's really surprising production, which is a good thing. So congratulations for that. So this was feedback session number 3, and we still have lots of stuff to talk about, like all this stuff. So see you guys next week. Bye bye.